Good morning. This is Steve Onsman, the pastor of Calvary United Church of Christ in Reading, Pennsylvania, an open and affirming congregation. Glad to be with you here today. This is the Wednesday Word for October 7th. I'm going to try to get to this in 7 minutes or less. So thank you. And if you have a question, send it to me, message me, or send it to me on Facebook or email me, and I will do my best to answer it. Okay, so today, this is from an anonymous person. What does it mean to be one of the elect? Okay, this is one of my least favorite ideas in Scripture, that there are some people who are elected by God for salvation, and there are others who are not. It is, of course, at the root of predestination. It's a mostly Calvinist belief, and I may insult you with today. I apologize for that. I got a lot of great Calvinist friends, but honestly, I think it's just plain silly, and let me tell you why. First of all, the word elect, the English word translation of it, appears 11 times in the New Testament, 3 times in Matthew 24, 3 times in Mark 13. Then it appears once in Romans 11, once in 1 Timothy 5, once in 2 Timothy 2, and then first chapters of Titus and 1 Peter. The last 2 are salutations, so I'm not going to deal with them today. Let's look at the Gospels first. In Matthew, it's part of the teachings of Jesus about the end times, that the destruction of the temple, the apocalypse, and the tribulations will be cut short for the sake of the elect. That's where they enter into the story. God's going to have mercy on those who have been chosen. And they will be gathered together by the angels and saved. In Mark, it's the same story, and the disciples are being told that this will be happen while they are all still alive, or at least some are still alive, which is interesting because, I've said for many years that Jesus and his disciples thought the end was coming in some form or another. So it didn't, so they were mistaken. Okay. In Romans, the context is about Israel, that some sought the truth while some did not. And they were put into a stupor by God because they couldn't hear or see what was going on. In 1 Timothy, the word is used in connection with angels, and in 2 Timothy, the writer tells the readers that he is suffering for them. The writer is suffering for the elect, the readers. Similar word to this is chosen. The chosen appears far more often. It also appears in Hebrew scriptures as well as Christian scriptures. It's used in the Gospels a lot, like in Luke 18, when Jesus asks, and will not God bring about justice for the chosen ones who cry out to God day and night? This is part of the story of the persistent widow who continued to go after the judge, who she felt was unjust, until the judge gave her justice. Basically, she nagged him into doing what she wanted, which sometimes works. Notice that in this case, though, the person receiving justice is most likely a poor widow, because widows, then were different. My New Testament professor, Colleen Day at Drew, used to say that all the time, that they're not like these widows you see out to lunch having drinks. They were certainly oppressed. In fact, there's a reason why Paul said we're supposed to care for orphans and widows, because the widows had nothing. They didn't have pensions. They didn't have life insurance. There was no prosperity. So that's what we're supposed to do. When we're oppressed, we have to keep going at it. So let me get now to John Calvin. I mentioned him earlier. He's one of the gang of reformers who shook the world in the early 1500s in the Protestant Reformation. He took this a step farther. He actually took St. Augustine's lead and enlarged it to say that since predestination is a biblical concept, and to be honest, it's there, it should be widely preached and taught. But he got a lot of flack for this at his time. One of the most formidable opponents was a Carmelite friar named Jerome Balsec. Balsec said that Calvin's predestination made God the author of sin, which of course goes against James. It says God doesn't tempt us. God doesn't bring evil into our lives. We're the ones who do that, not God. So I agree with Friar Jerome. He was correct. God doesn't bring evil into our lives. Using Ephesians 1, though, Calvin believed that God put everything into motion before the beginning of creation. And again, I agree with that. But just because God created it doesn't mean God has a plan for it, or at least has a plan that can't be changed. Read the Bible. People are always changing God's plans. So I have to say here, and I mean no insult, honestly, but to me, predestination is utter nonsense. To be elect, there is no elect. There never has been an elect. I'll probably insult a lot of people with that. And here's why. If predestination is real, then free will is not. Right? If everything is set out in a plan, everything happens because God makes it happen. I touched on this in the last couple weeks. If everything happens for a reason, then we have no opportunity to make free choices, to choose to be faithful, to choose to believe in Jesus or not, to choose to believe in God or not. Then God, by extension Jesus, has no meaning. The Apostle Paul uses a similar argument in 1 Corinthians when he talks about the resurrection in chapter 15. There were lots of people who didn't believe in the resurrection, and although they were Christians, because they thought Jesus was returning in their lifetime, as I said earlier. So Paul says, but if there is no resurrection of the dead, your faith is in vain, because resurrection is part of the deal. The essential concept of God mandates free will. It's not a choice. Because to choose God based on scripture, experience, reason, tradition, like how I got that Wesleyan quadrilateral, it's all in there. I got that quadrilateral in. It's absolutely essential for the Christian faith to be something that's real and that changes, and that where God is still speaking. If there is free will, then predestination, or a set and unbreakable plan, or fate, they cannot exist. So you have free will or you don't. But if you have free will, you don't have the elect, you don't have the fate, you don't have predestination. Anyway, that's all I have time for today. I'm running out of questions, so I need more from you. Email me, message me. If you have something you think might really push me, I appreciate that. Always like the tough questions. And please like this and share it if you found something meaningful. Tune in next Wednesday. Be safe, wear masks, wash your hands, keep physical distance, and I hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.